Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to Make the Way vlog. I am your cultural guide and guard, Mike Fair. Super excited for you to tap in with me this week for Make the Way. Make the Way is a culture vlog that's all about decoding the ways that millennials and Gen Z are moving through the world and how they are writing the new codes of culture. So I just want to start off by saying thank you for everybody who checked out the first episode of Make the Way, which was really just like an intro, just like me talking about what I've been studying, what I've been working on, introducing myself as a brand and cultural strategist, and really setting the stage for what I want to do with this vlog, which is honestly unpack culture. I'm a millennial, geriatric millennial, if being honest, and that's the technical term. But yeah, I'm passionate about millennials and Gen Z. I am really waving the banner to celebrate the ways that millennials and Gen Z are shaping culture, not taking the old systems and just operating within them, but really creating new and bold ways to live, to experience culture, to explore life, and also thrive, pushing against systems that have held us back from actually thriving in this life. So that's my own kind of energy or heart around the work that I've been doing from a strategy perspective. And I think this vlog is all about just celebrating, exposing, exploring, investigating the ways a millennial and Gen Z are moving through the world. So I want to thank you for checking out that first video, for interacting with the content, for sharing, for liking, subscribing. I'll be honest, I didn't really know exactly what to expect from pushing this content out there. And it's really inspiring to see all the engagement with the first little bit of Make the Way. So I'm excited for you returning for episode 2. And let's dive in. So this week I'm going to be unpacking a topic and a space that's near and dear to my heart. As you know, I'm a brand and cultural strategist. I've spent the past 20 years working in different forms of integrated marketing in the advertising industry, in the public relations industry, and working with world-class brands. But my first job was actually in the music industry. I grew up as a little kid who was running around telling people that I was going to be a marketing executive in the music business. And that was my first dream. And subsequently, that was my first job. I got an internship with Universal Music Group Distribution towards the end of my college experience or undergraduate college experience. And from there, I got hired in as a coordinator, technically a mailroom coordinator, but working in the marketing department at one of Universal Music Group Distribution's regional offices in Troy, Michigan. And that was my first exposure to marketing, really working with a retail network, ensuring point of sale visibility for recording artists, doing special promotions with specific retailers, but also doing some of the creative strategy aspect of like ensuring that artists were visible and in a great position to promote their art when they were in our market, which covered multiple states within the Midwest. And so that was my first intro to the strategy work that I'm doing now. And it was actually just a direct result of my love for music. And so I thought it would be appropriate to unpack something that I think is especially relevant. As I stated, a big part of Make the Way is going to be unpacking what's happening right now in culture together. And you would have to be under a rock if you missed the headlines this week around Harry Styles. Harry Styles has made the news because his fans are up in arms about the fact that his tour tickets for his recently announced Together tour are going for upwards of $1,000 per seat. And this is tapping into a larger discussion around the cost of concert ticket prices. What is it actually worth? Why are people willing to pay 500, 600, well over $1,000 for a concert ticket to Taylor Swift or Harry Styles or Beyonce? And what's behind all of this? Is this purely about the music? And I have to say, this isn't about music really at all. It's about belonging. So this week on Make the Way, we're going to unpack what's really behind concerts becoming this Millsy ritual and what it says about us as a group. that owns this Mill Z mindset. So Harry Styles is getting a ton of heat because his longtime fans are saying they're frustrated with the ticket prices for his tour. They're saying that they feel like longtime supporters aren't actually getting the fair end of the deal. They're kind of arguing that this is starting to feel a bit elitist, feeling like the best seats or even decent seats are out of reach for them. And it brings up a larger conversation around concerts. We know that the concert space has evolved a ton in the past 10 years, with arena tours being these full scale productions, incredible lighting, incredible visuals, theatrics happening throughout the stadium. And that costs money, right? That takes a lot of production dollars to facilitate. But I think there's something larger around the phenomena that is the modern concert. And some of that I think has been brought on by the realities of a post pandemic lifestyle, but also just innate values that are essential to Mill Z and the Mill Z mindset. And it is this real, rich, deep desire for connection and belonging. The reality is that millennials and Gen Z are connection starved. We are living in these digital first realities with a lot of our relationships having the bulk of interaction within digital means, whether that's social media, whether that's the group chat. And then you layer on top of that remote work, kind of fragmented communities that we live in, not really knowing your neighbors maybe as much as you might have 20 years ago, and just less shared public rituals at large. You can understand why there's this desire for connection. A recent Spotify study breaks it down in a way that's so visceral, noting that 61% of Gen Z say that they are lonelier today than they felt 10 years ago. And a recent YouGov poll found that 30% of millennials often or always feel lonely. The fact remains that millennials and Gen Z are wrestling with this loneliness epidemic, and concerts become this tangible space where they are able to foster connection, where they're able to tap into like minded individuals and feel a celebration of identity, but also deep connection to their values, their interests, their passions. And this is one of the last places where thousands of people are having the same experience at the exact same time in real life. So, net, concerts really become one of the few places where Mill Z gets to practice being human in real time. So we know that concerts are this new space for Mill Z to connect, to foster identity, and to really feel a sense of belonging. But I would be remiss to talk about the modern concert experience and why it's driving identity, why it's fostering connection, without talking about the fashion of it all. When we look at just some of the big concert moments of the past few years, whether that was Taylor Swift and her Eras tour, Beyonce and Cowboy Carter and Renaissance World Tours, even Brandy and Monica with the Boys Mind tour, a huge part of that fostering of connection was the fandom experience of it all, the suggested attire for said concert, and fans getting a chance to go all in, but also feel that distinct connection through the ritual of it all. So it is interesting to call out that attendance at these concerts isn't just about getting a chance to see the artist live or hearing the music in a different format. It's a deep opportunity for participation, to be a part of something, to showcase those values with your visual language and with your identity and your expressions of what you wear. And so it comes to life as a tangible example of like choosing your community, subscribing to a distinct community, and seeing that manifest in real time. So we started this conversation by talking about the dollars, really unpacking this modern high ticket value for concert experiences. And while some of that is purely capitalism, inflation, and also just artists understanding streaming is not as lucrative for recording artists and labels as it once was, based on the elimination of traditional record sales and that sort of thing. And so concerts are truly like a moment where they can make the dollars make sense. But when we think about millennials and Gen Z and what they're actually investing in, it's not just the hype of it all. It's not just the social credibility of being able to post that you were in the third row at Beyonce, even though that is a real thing. They're investing in the meaning of being there, the shared dialogue and shared experience, not only with their core crew, but also with the surrounding participants in that moment. They're spending money on presence, a moment that is visceral and tangible and will stand out in their minds. And so this is kind of laddering up to larger values for Millsy, valuing experiences over things, putting a high value on celebratory moments, or creating moments in many ways, and also having the ability to tell stories. And so the high focus and the high value on concerts is much deeper than the eye can see. I also can just share, from my own perspective as a music lover, as someone who's worked in the music industry, but also as someone who just has a deep, deep connection to live music. I understand the connective tissue and emotional territory of being in attendance, being able to showcase your identity through the community that exists at these moments. And so I definitely was in attendance for Kendrick and SZA with the Grand National Tour. I had the opportunity to see Beyonce for Cowboy Carter. I definitely had the opportunity to see Brandy and Monica for the Boys Mind Tour. And all of those, while hitting on different elements, they were visceral examples of community coming together, celebratory moments, shared connections with strangers. And I just loved not only my own benefit of being in those experiences and getting to take them in, but observing, how people were having fun with perfect strangers, how people were experiencing joy at a deep, deep level. Like I was watching people be brought to tears, or like hugging a perfect stranger, like just having the time of their lives. And that isn't about clout, that isn't about the post on your social media feed. That's about a yearning for connection as a human. And so I loved that I got to witness that and observe that firsthand as a strategist, but also as just like a music head. I think it's important that we continue to monitor these moments. It's not just about concerts, it's about connection, right? And so tonight, the Grammys will happen, and I'll probably have something to say about that when we get together again. I'm someone who loves watching the Grammys. I love the celebration of the arts in all its various forms. But this will be another cultural moment where music is at center stage. Collective Millsy community will be weighing in on what's acknowledged in that moment. We're also walking into another incredible music spectacle that is the Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny. There's so much for us to examine in that moment. I'm super excited to see how Bad Bunny responds to the controversy and some of the dialogue. I'm excited to see how that comes to life and what we can learn from that as another cultural music moment. So, what's our takeaway? This show is all about the ways that millennials and Gen Z are making the way, how they're architecting the new codes of culture and creating new systems. And I think it's important for us to call out that the things that Millsy and the Millsy mindset drives us to invest in, it isn't just about hype and it isn't just about the tactile or tangible exchange or purchase. Millsy is looking for presence. They're looking for community. They're looking for belonging. They're looking for connection in the face of loneliness. And they want something that allows them to tap in with others and create moments that are worth talking about, that are worth sharing. Concerts are deep proof that in real life moments still matter, that community is still the highest order goal, and that while we are dealing with loneliness as distinct generations, we are thinking about ways to foster belonging. Connection is still a deeply rooted need for Millsy. And we're doing it in different ways, and concerts is one of those. So I just want to invite you to tap in with me. What was the last concert that you went to that left a deep impression on you, that changed you, that inspired you? I love to hear about that in the comments. What did you get from that? How did you experience community in that moment? And why did it matter that it was in person, that it was a real life exchange? So I appreciate you all tapping in with me this week for Make the Way. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm excited for us to continue to decode culture together in the way that the Millsy mindset is shaping the new codes of culture. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends, share this with your colleagues, share this with anyone that's looking to understand Millennial and Gen Z consumers, people, thought process, and follow me at Mike Austin Makes on YouTube and on Instagram. Peace, y'all.